It's also where, when we talk about psychologically being ready to handle prep, this is why it's so important, is if you get to this stage and you're not ready for it, you will 100% break. So by about this point of a prep, one thing that people need to understand is pretty common, and will be a common experience for most athletes, first time or experienced, is that you start to flatten out. We use the expression, get flat to lose fat, right? So you start to flatten out, muscle bellies don't look as full, they're not as poppy, a little bit more vascular, condition starts to come through, but you look and feel smaller. In the world of body dysmorphia and image delusion, it's very easy to start feeling that you're even smaller than you are. You're running out of muscle mass, you're fatter than you are, you gotta dig harder. And you start to really get to this middle ground where, you're not quite where you wanna be yet, but you're not as big as what you also think you could be or should be. And so your brain starts playing games on how flat you actually are, how much fat you still have, how big you look. And of course, it's a very common trope in bodybuilding that during a prep, during a cut phase, you want to be bigger, you want to get fuller, you want to look heavier. And then when you get heavier, you want to look leaner, you want to get smaller and thin out. So it's very common to go through this period. Even for myself, right now stuff is feeling looser. Clothes aren't as tight as what they were in my thighs and quads. Perceptually things just feel smaller and flatter, but at the same time, I've never been this lean. The goal was to get this lean and then start to fill back up into the show. So you've got to be mindful of the strategy and the approach and the phase that you're running, how the mind and the brain and the body are going to respond. At the end of the day, your brain needs to survive. Starving it of food and oxygen, fats, glycogen, it's going to do everything it can to try and preserve itself, which is going to lead to you wanting to eat more food, to feel smaller, so you eat more, to want to preserve your body and actually try and survive life. So it's an interesting stage to be in, and it's also where, when we talk about psychologically being ready to handle prep, this is why it's so important, is if you get to this stage and you're not ready for it, you will 100% break. And so you start to add in your own cheat meals, you start to, ditch the plan, you stop sticking to the structure of routine and the calories you're on, and everything just starts to get muddied. So it's a very interesting part of the prep, but it's a mental game now at this point as much as it is physical. What are you wearing today? No, what are you wearing?